show called The Gilmore Girls. Because I started watching it really late it had been off the air for a while before I had ever even started watching it.
I watched it on the air, so,
But it's probably one of those comfort shows that if I need something on in the background, I'm trying to fall asleep, anything like that, it's definitely a comfort show for me and I can turn it on at any given time. But one of the things that I just love so much about that show is the town.
Yes.
Stars Hollow. And, for those of you not familiar with it, that's completely okay. Those of you that are know exactly what I'm talking about. But the show follows a mom and a daughter, and part of it is about them living in this really small town, and there's like a little town square and everybody gets together for little events and different, like the winter fair and the summer fair and the knit-a-thon and the dance-a-thon and the town hall meetings, and everybody goes to the town hall meetings and everybody is involved and everybody has an opinion, and it's just so cute. And I think we kind of have this little nod to one another that we just want a little Stars Hollow in our town a little bit. So
hi, welcome to Beautiful Chaos. Our episode today is Grow Where You Are Planted. I'm Tammy Ramsey.
And I'm Stacy Miller.
And I think that this was her idea to do this episode, so I'm going to let her do all the leading of the things. I think that we want to talk about where we're from first, kind of like an intro of why we're talking about this subject.
So my mother's family is from here in American Falls, and then my father's family is from California. So I was born here, and then we moved to California for a little while. I know it's a big C word. Nobody likes to talk about it, but I did live in California until I was 14. And then moved back here, graduated from American Falls High School. Go Beavers. And then, life decisions and jobs and things like that. I did move away for a while and lived on the East Coast for 7 years. And then I was drawn back to American Falls, and I've lived here ever since. And I have every intention of being here till the end of my days. I'm a big fan of American Falls, and we'll get into that. Don't worry if you're not a big fan or you're not even familiar with what we're talking about, because our topic today is to grow where you're planted. So we're not going to just talk about American Falls or paint it with this pretty picture. We're also going to talk about just how to plant yourself wherever you are at. Exactly. So then what's your history?
Well, mine is I was born in Virginia Beach and lived there till I was like 10 or 11. Then I went to Delaware, and Delaware, where we lived there, because Virginia is like a big city. I live like a couple blocks from the beach, and I mean, it's a big tourist attraction, a lot going on. But when I moved to Delaware, that was when it was a more close-knit kind of community. It was a small town, just like American Falls. So when I moved out this direction through a marriage and then consequently a divorce, and then I met my current husband, who was from American Falls. His whole family's been here for over 100 years. So I love that history, that connection. But I think that, like, I chose to stay because I loved Idaho as a whole. I just loved it. It was a more secure place to live than Delaware or Virginia. And American Falls was just a small town like Felton, Delaware, where I was from. So I've really grown to love it, and I consider it definitely 100% my home, my just my happy spot. And I've been here for like 29 and a half years, I think.
Yeah. I'm not going to do the math, but I've been here a long time. And I will say at first, like, when you say a close-knit community, and this can go with any close-knit community, or sometimes it's hard to bust in as an outsider. And I will say I felt a lot like an outsider in the beginning for a long time. And it was, you have people who have gone to school with each other since they were in diapers. And then all of a sudden this stranger comes in from a different state, and you're not exactly going to make those same connections necessarily. And I think that's part of the reason that I initially moved away after high school. I needed to try something else. I hadn't really built a lot of strong connections, and some of the strong connections I had, those people had also kind of moved away for a little while.
Right.
And, you know, coming back was, for me, a lot of it was about knowing where I wanted to raise my kids. There's a song you guys might know. It's called the Sunscreen Song. It was very popular in like 1999-ish. One of the I can quote it in a lot of days in life, but one of the quotes in it is work hard to bridge the gaps between geography and lifestyle, because the older you get, the more you need the people that you knew when you were young. And I think that was a big draw for me of when I was living far away. I kept wanting connection with the people that were here. I kept wanting connection with things that were familiar to me. And I did work hard to ground myself here and really know this town inside and out when I first moved here. And so bridging that gap in my geography became really important to me. So being back here was really important. But I'm going to brag on American Falls for just a minute. And I promise I won't drag it on for too long. But American Falls is such a cool town.
It is. It's a really cool town.
So 100 years ago, right? We just celebrated the 100 years. They moved the entire town. So the town used to be where our reservoir is now. And they had built a dam, which then caused the water to obviously be where the reservoir is now, which means that the town couldn't be there anymore. And so with steam engine powered equipment, they jacked up houses, churches, businesses, and buildings and put them on these steam engine powered machinery. Words are hard.
Yeah.
And trekked them up into this new part of town and then built a new town wherever they wanted it. And if you go to the City of American Falls website, it will say American Falls, where the sun shines in every window. So if you look at us on a map, we're like this. We're not directly north and south, which is interesting for where we are, because a lot of towns around here really go off of a northwest. Your streets are 100 north by 400 west, and it's really easy to find your way around and know directions and know where everybody's going to be and how many blocks it is to get somewhere. We did not do that because we wanted the sun to shine in every window. So the whole town is just a little askew, and so that we get a lot of sunlight on a regular basis, which I think is just a beautiful thought on planning a town.
Thought.
Yeah, because we have a lot of winter around here.
A lot of winter. And we suffer from vitamin D deficiency because there's not a lot of sun.
So a little extra sunshine is good for us. But if we want to get into that's just a little on the history, which I think is really cool, but also just the way that we can build relationships in a small town. And I think we can both talk on that. I think it starts, at least for me, coming back here with school-age children, was learning the school district and learning the secretaries.
Yes.
And learning the other parents that we're going to interact with for the next 12 years and that kind of thing. So
yeah.
I think
the great thing is like, when I first moved here, my daughter was 5, and I was immersed myself in a local church so that I could meet people there. And then I remember, like, I still friends with the first person I ever met at the first day of school, sitting in the cafeteria.
Mm-hmm.
And her son graduated with my daughter, and I still see him weekly at Costco and give him hugs. But she was my first friend, and she's still my friend. And that's the thing, too, that I think is that here in a smaller town where everybody can know everybody, you maintain friendships over a long period of time. And I have friends in Delaware that are my heart and soul, and my people that know me from crazy times and all the things, and I'm still in connection with them, but I don't feel the need to be like move there or live there. But here is where my heart is.
Yep.
This is where I feel that I am planted and have grown into this community. But yeah, the benefits are amazing, and one is those friendships that can last long period of time, because most people are still here.
Right. Well, and then the next thing is just your familiarity with everybody. So you go into the grocery store, you're going to run into somebody you know, but you're also going to know the people who are working there.
Yeah.
So if you need help finding something, or you need help ordering something new in a small town, you're more likely to get somebody to get behind. Hey, we can start ordering that in for you. Or
100%. That has happened. Yes, we've utilized that.
And then I know for me, I had a situation once where I had a tooth break on me. It's the worst thing, right? When you have, I mean, that's the thing that nightmares are made of, is when you break a tooth. And it was, well, we can get you in, and they were booked, and I can't blame them. They were booked, and the dentist said, well, we can get you in I think it was 3 days. I thought, oh, 3 days. What am I going to do for 3 days with a broken tooth? Oh my God. And within an hour, they called me back and said, if you can be here in an hour, we'll get you in today. And man, I was right there. I rearranged everything, and they rearranged everything for me. So grateful when people do things like that. And then you have a fun story.
So we were directing a play at the Little Theater, and one of our lead actors had been welding that day. And when he showed up there to us, his eye was bloodshot red, just swollen.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is happening? Well, I may have metal in my eye. I don't know. I used a magnet. I mean, oh my gosh. So anyways, call the eye doctor. And it's 7:00 at night.
Right.
He said, meet me at my office. And daggone it, that kid had a little sliver of metal in his eye. And that doctor had him in there in 5 or 10 minutes.
Yep.
And had it out, and the kid was back.
Right back
finishing practice. Yeah. So that was fabulous. But that's so benefit is, everybody knows everybody, and you have phone numbers that you probably shouldn't have, but you do. And when you call, they answer and they help you.
And I think that one thing that's important when we talk about, it's such a benefit when everybody knows everybody, and it's such a benefit when you can go anywhere and you can run into people. Sometimes you don't want to run into people that you know.
Yeah.
And I get that. And I will say that sometimes I enjoy the fact that we've grown a little, and now I can have self-checkout. So once in a while, I want to go to the store. I want to self-checkout because I'm checked out, I'm not necessarily feeling like I want to mingle with people at the time. And that happens to all of us. But I think the other thing that's important to remember is we all got to keep our own side of the street clean.
Yes.
Right? Whether that's your reputation, your personality, what you're doing, whatnot. Because when you are in a small, tight-knit community, it's easy to feel like, well, everybody knows my business. Well, I think
your business clean.
Yeah, keep your side of the street clean. And it doesn't matter if they know your business. Because here's the benefit, is it keeps us all safe. Right? Yes. When I was younger, my aunt knew what I was doing wrong before I even had made the decision to do the thing wrong. And she would call and tell my parents, and I could get caught before I ever even did it.
Yeah.
But then likewise, when my kids got older, and I was raising kids here, I knew what they were getting into before they knew what they were getting into. And you let your kids be kids, and I definitely had some loose reins because of that, and I let them kind of get away with a little bit. But at the same time, I knew they were safe. I knew where they were at. I knew what they were doing. And if it went the wrong way,
you knew where you were going to find them.
I knew where to go get them.
Exactly.
Yeah. How to get them back in line. Do you want to talk a little bit about a story from Dr. Peterson?
Well, or were we going to say, I think, well, we sure can.
Yeah.
So, I think that attitude is everything about, and your perception and your personality, right? So how you see the world, where you've come from, because Jordan Peterson gave this story as an example on our different personalities and our different perceptions. He said he was walking in a park in his hometown, and he said a woman walked up to him and said, "Hey, I just moved to this town, and I'm wanting to know what kind of people are here." And he said, "Well, being the wise man that he is, what kind of people were in the town you came from?"
Right.
She said, "Oh, gossips and backbiters, and boy, they just were the worst people. That was so negative and all the things." And he said to her, "Well, then that's the people here too."
Yeah.
And so she walks away, and then another girl walks up and says, "Hey, I just came to town, and I'm wondering what kind of people are here. What are the people like?" And he said, "Well, where you're from, what are the people like there?" And she said, "Oh, they're just great. They're the best people ever. They'll do anything for you. They'll help you. They'll get the shirt off your backs. They're just great." And he's like, "Well, that's the kind of people that you're going to find here."
Right.
So the whole moral of that story is, it's not the people. It's you.
It's your perception.
And your perception.
And you'll always find your people. Whether
Yes.
it's if you love gossip and negativity, you'll find gossip and negativity.
Yeah.
If you want to build positivity and good relationships, you can find that as well. And I think that this is a good place to put in that I've lived in a lot of places and you've lived in a lot of places.
Yes.
And I think that when I hear people say, oh, a small town, it's so gossipy, it's so this, it's so that, you will find your small town wherever you go. I have lived in big cities. I've lived in California. I've lived out on the East Coast. I have friends who've lived in downtown New York. Like, you find your small town, whether it's the apartment building you live in, the apartment complex you live in, your cul-de-sac, your job. You know, I've worked places where we employ 200, 300, 400 people. That becomes your small town. And everyone knows what that supervisor's doing and that employee's doing. And everybody knows your business. And but that small town gets recreated for you anywhere you go. And it becomes, like Dr. Jordan Peterson said, the perception that you have on it. And
Right.
what you put out is what you get back. So when you're trying to put out good relationships and build good relationships with people, wherever it may be, in a big city, in a small town, at your job, in your cul-de-sac, that's what you're going to get back, is going to be that great relationship.
Right. And that's a personality thing too. And one day I'd like to get into personalities, because I was a color code trainer. So I used to teach about the different personalities, but it's also just a personality thing too. Like, there are people that automatically come into something because their personality is a little more judgmental. They are more closed off, and they and it's not above or below the line. It's just part of their personality that they have to learn to choose to make different if they can. But it's a lot of just your personality and the way that you see the world, just naturally. So some people are just more negative, and
Right.
that's just a natural thing. But that doesn't mean that you can't change
Right.
your perception. You can't change
Yeah.
how you feel. Like, it's all
Every
about
day is a
what you
choice.
think. Yes.
We talk about
day.
this regularly on this podcast, that every day is a choice. Every next thing that you look at is a choice. And I think, just to kind of spin off onto something really fun, which is something that Tammy and I have in common, is, well, one, we have grown where we are planted. And we'll get
Yes.
into that in just a minute, and the ways that we kind of give back in our community. But I think part of our motivation, which we were a little involved, at least in my life, I think we were already a little involved with stuff before I discovered. From there, let's talk about the ways that we've planted ourselves. So Tammy and I met through volunteering at the American Falls Little Theater.
Yes.
So she was directing plays there. I was pulled in from another director, a mutual friend of ours, and then met her through that. And I've always loved theater. That's the only thing I think that rooted me when I was here, when I was in high school, was the fact that I had my theater family, and a little bit from my job family and things like that. But I definitely was rooted in theater. And so after I did the first show that I met her at, she says, you want to do the next show with me? I was like, oh, no. I was like, once and done kind of person. But my kids were kind of getting the bug. And so then it was like, okay, we'll do one more show. And then that turned into a couple shows a year we were doing with each other for probably a decade or so. And so a lot of volunteering at the theater, and which is a great place to grow and be planted. You're reaching out to the community, you're providing entertainment, you're meeting new people, you're growing in some wild relationships with like your group of actors. Because if anybody that's done a show knows that you have this like, you meet, it's this great excitement, and then you have these ebbs and flows of going through rehearsals together where one day you love each other and you're having the best time and you're laughing your tails off, and the next day you kind of hate each other and you just want to shake somebody and you're like, why won't you just learn your lessons? And then you get back up to this really high stress level of tech week, and holy cow, what are we even thinking? This show isn't even any good.
Yeah.
Why did we do all this?
Is anybody gonna find this funny?
We've been laughing for weeks, but they're not going to laugh at this. This is so silly. And then you open, and everybody's there, and they laugh,
And they're
they have
laughing,
a great time.
head back, laughing, and you're like,
You're like, okay. And it's kind of like, we always say, it's kind of like childbirth.
Yeah.
Because you go through all the pains of childbirth, and then afterwards you're like, I'm never doing that again. And then you see the baby and you go,
Oh,
okay, let's do it one more time.
Let's do it one more time.
And so we did. And we kept doing it. And we kept doing it. And then one day Tammy comes to me with this great idea, which I thought was wild. Let's do a concert in the park on a random Saturday. And I'm like,
it was a Thursday.
No, we started on a Saturday. Yeah.
Oh.
The first time was on Saturday, and I thought, no, this isn't going to happen. Nobody's going to do this. And it became Thursday. It was once a month.
Then we started let's just do it every week. And we were getting bands to come and play for us for just tips, because we didn't have any way
we had
to
no
pay for
money.
these bands. Yeah. We had 10 people the first one, and now we have like 500 or 600 come.
Right.
We have sponsors now.
We have sponsors,
raised
food trucks, and wonderful vendors that come and sit with us every week to sell their wares and their trinkets and their things. And Music in the Park has really grown to be an event, and it's been wonderful. And it's a great way to get the community together and
strengthens our community.
Yeah.
As a whole. Like I just feel like we are all closer and just stronger.
Well, and her and I have a hard time sometimes because there's a lot of work that goes into it. And we'll get everything set up. We get the food trucks all parked, and we get all the vendors scattered and set wherever they're supposed to be set up. And the band is settled, and they're happy. And we sit down, and it's almost time to go run around and pay bills and do this and do that. And then we just stop for a second sometimes and go, look around.
Yeah.
Look at all these people that are being entertained right now and that are having a great time, and listen to this great music.
We created this. Look at this blessing in our lives and
and we were able to build a pavilion through the help of many of our volunteers, sponsors, donations, community support. And it was just a wonderful way to say, hey, I love this place and I want to make it just a little bit better. And I want to leave behind something a little bit better than what we started off with. So let's build this amazing event. And that sure has also grown in other ways. So
let's talk about Christmas, because I think that was, this one loves, well, I love Christmas too, but she really just loves Christmas. And we had an opportunity to take over a Christmas festival, and
there was no way I wasn't going to take... If I had to do it by myself, I would have single-handedly made sure that our town had a Christmas festival where Santa came, and there's Christmas lights, and there's activities and things to do, because I absolutely love Christmas. Sometimes I will say it's a little hard when you're organizing a lot of the events to remember to enjoy them.
Yes.
But we've also learned to try and get out and really mingle and see other events, or take time to breathe and enjoy our own events. But we have taken on Christmas. It's just it's still growing. I think we have a long way to go for where Christmas can end up being. But
Stars Hollow.
But
we had a lot of room to grow.
Yeah, but we've taken on the Christmas festival, and it is definitely growing. It's cold. Sometimes it's hard to get everything going. But, I mean, we have an amazing Christmas concert at the very end of the night with groups from all over town that get together to just be together as one full community.
All the different churches come together, and people from all denominations come and perform at this thing.
We have a live nativity that's getting bigger every year. They're bringing in every animal you can think
There was mention of a camel. I don't know how that's going, but I know there was a mention.
There was definitely sheep and little baby cows. And anyways, it's just beautiful. And then I think I'll also say that we then decided, whoopsie, last year, Music in the Park lands on the 4th of July. What should we do? And we decided, well, I don't know. How about we throw a massive 4th of July festival and bring fireworks back to American Falls? And we start with these harebrained ideas, and with enough commitment, love, support, we end up putting on a giant 4th of July festival with a fireworks show.
Yeah, this coming year will be our 3rd year of doing it, and it's grown bigger in numbers also.
I think we doubled our funding from year one to this year. So 2024 was our first year. 2025, we doubled our funding, which was just wild. But people got behind it, and they're excited. And they want to see fireworks in American Falls. They want to not have to drive to another town. And it's lovely to see the community come together and everybody else decide that we also want to grow where we're planted. Maybe and change this mindset of, well, we like to drive far away on the 4th of July. We like to go to this other town and this other town, this other town to see fireworks. Well, you don't have to. You can stay right here. We're going to put on a heck of a show right here in town and give you guys something to do here.
And you can go home and sleep in your own bed. And you don't have to fight traffic. It's like, what, 10, 15 minutes to get out
our
of
officers are amazing at getting everybody
amazing
out.
Officers, yes.
So I think that, I'm just obviously really passionate about this town, what it's provided for me, what it's provided for my family. I've met my husband here, and he grew up here. His family grew up around here, like you said.
Yeah.
They're very planted with, a farm ranch situation as well. So it's just, it's also nice when everyone knows your spouse. When I was first about to date my spouse, it was like, well, what do you guys think of so-and-so? And everyone knew him since he was in, 5th grade or something. And so it was so easy for everyone to go, oh, him? Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, he's wonderful. His family's wonderful. Everybody's wonderful. And so there's just something very beautiful about the familiarity of that. But also, we just live in a really cool town with really cool history.
Yeah, we do.
I hope that if you're listening to this and you're from American Falls, that you go down to the pharmacy and get a copy of one of the History of American Falls books that have been printed. I believe there are 2 now that are like encyclopedia length that will tell you a lot about our history.
And it could be some of your history if you're from American Falls and your family's from American Falls. There's some random stories in there that could actually come from your very own family, and that's really kind of cool to see.
Yeah, and I also encourage you guys to support Music in the Park, support the American Falls Little Theater, support our 4th of July Festival and our Christmas Festival, or any other events that American Falls Day. That's a great time to get together and spend time with your family, spend time with your friends.
Chamber of Commerce does a great job.
Great job. Yeah, reconnect. It's a great day to reconnect with your class.
Yes.
A lot of people do their class reunions that day, and sometimes it's like their 32nd class reunion, because there are some classes that are just really tight and they get together every year, and I just love seeing that. I love wandering around the park and being like, oh, that class got together and that class got together. But anyways, if you are from here, support your local businesses, support your local volunteer community theaters and community events and community organizations,
and become a volunteer, because that's the other thing we really haven't touched on is that the importance of volunteering, because there's only 6 of us girls that put on 3 major events in our town, and we love having volunteers, especially for like 4th of July, for Christmas festival. Like we're all about it. If you want to help out in some aspect, then we welcome that. But just to volunteer anywhere, volunteers at the theater, offer your help to anybody.
Volunteer at your church, volunteer in your kids' classroom, at the preschool, their daycare.
That's how you make friends. Mm-hmm. That's how you can give back to your community. And even if you feel like, say you're a negative Nelly, say you're the person that walked into town going, yeah, everybody where I came from is being negative and gossipy. So if you're that person, but you don't want to be that person, or you don't want to be at home all the time, go and give back. Even if you don't feel like you're getting anything, go and give, because the more you give, the more your heart is filled, and you don't need to get.
And it might be a small give at first. Maybe you don't belong to a church and you don't feel like you're in a place where you're ready to volunteer there yet, or you don't know how to volunteer with some of the organizations in town. Maybe it's just
to go
help your neighbor, help somebody next door, help, like I said, help at the school. If your kids are still in school, go down to the school and see how you can volunteer. Maybe you go read a story, go to the library and see if you can volunteer. But there's always going to be somewhere and somehow where you can grow where you're planted. And I think that's the key to this episode, is that, and you might not live in American Falls, you might not live in your hometown anymore, you might be far away, you might come back someday, all of those different things, right? Wherever you are now, you can plant yourself there. And sometimes planting for me was like just getting incredibly familiar with my surroundings, walking the town, driving the town, going up and down the streets, getting to know people, working in customer service somewhere within your town so that you're interacting with a lot of people on a regular basis. Any of those types of things, but get to know where you're at so that you can plant yourself. When you're planted, then you can grow. Growing can look like volunteering. Growing can look like
just having friends.
Having
friends you go have coffee with.
Book club, a coffee club, a game night with girlfriends, and anyways.
Yeah.
Any of those things. But the important thing is two important things. I think the two takeaways are, if you live in American Falls and you're from American Falls, invest in American Falls. Invest in your businesses, help support getting us a new museum location. Yes. So that we can have our museum back, because the history of this town is bar none and it's really important. And find some way to volunteer, get out there in your community, get out there with your friend group, however you can communicate and get out. And if you're not from here, grow wherever you are planted.
Exactly. I couldn't say it any better. So perfect.
Okay.
Perfect ending.
Thanks.
Okay, be watching for our next episode. Be sure to like and subscribe. Share with your friends if you enjoyed it. We would love comments. You can go to our website, which is beautifulchaos1.com/buzzsprout.com. And you can leave us some fan mail.
Or our Facebook page. We now have a Facebook page,
Yes.
Beautiful Chaos. It's linked under either of our bios as well. So look for us there.
Yeah, and you're either hearing us or seeing us. And if you're just hearing us and you want to see us, then go to YouTube, because we're there.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. And until then,
stay empowered.
It's a beautiful